Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
And here's your host, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. Well, one full weekend out of the way. Baseball has officially begun, and Eloy Jimenez has not swung and missed at a pitch yet in the first weekend. I know we're into the first full week now of baseball, but looking at the first weekend, wow. Is he ever going to swing and miss? What's his whiff rate going to be? And there's a rookie playing for a team with a new name who leads in 5 offensive categories and is tied in a few more than that. Should we just put him right in the Hall of Fame? Carlos Rodon right now has a K or strikeout per 9 inning rate of 21.6. He is striking everybody out.
People on the street.
Yeah, whoever it is. If you walk near him and he's throwing pitches, he's striking you out. And of course, like they say, after an NFL Sunday, all the Monday morning quarterbacks come out and talk about what could have been done differently. And of course, after the first weekend of MLB play, as is tradition, it's overreaction Monday, I guess, after the first weekend, where we look at everything and this guy's going to hit 1,000 this year. And this team is going to suck this year. They're never going to win another game. Our season is over.
Are you talking about Dodger fans?
I'm talking about a lot of fans, but Dodger fans specifically. Oh, and Angel fans. And we'll talk about...
there's a lot of teams out there that could fit that category.
We'll talk about both of those teams in a little more detail coming up. The one thing that is always associated with baseball, I think more than the other sports, although when you see like a spectacular shot in basketball or a goal that, like, how did they get it in to the net in hockey, it just seems like there's magic. And baseball specifically has always had this magical element to it. And I think they've decided to take this whole idea of magic to a different level. All right, Jana, I have a question for you. What do a couple of guys, one a electrical engineer, but also a performing mentalist, and another engineer, a performing magician, mentalist type as well, who run a company with tech type things to help other magicians and mentalists with their sleight of hand and such, and that you even need a password to get into their website to see what's available. Not just anybody can get into this. What do these people have in common with the MLB?
They are the creators of PitchCom.
Oh, see, I thought you were going to say they're trying to help. Rob Manfred has commissioned them to help hypnotize the world into thinking that baseball needs all of the rule changes that he wants to put in place.
Well, maybe that could also be in their contract.
Yep. These guys have taken all of their knowledge, their degrees from, at least one of them has a degree from Arizona State. And all their years of working in magic and that career field, and put it together for the new sign calling or pitch calling apparatus. As you said, PitchCom, the latest thing. And this is something that was tried last year in Single A in the California League section of Single A, or last year was the Western section. They They use it in the Arizona Fall League, and some teams used it this year. I think everybody was exposed to it at some point in spring training. Some teams gravitated to it, like the Rays. The Rays did. Other teams have shunned it. I know that the Angels and the Asterix are not. And then it made complete sense to me why they would say no. We're not gonna use that. We don't like that. We don't want that. It's the devil. Is Detroit, probably led by Chief Cheater, even though he denied it all, or he didn't deny it. He says, I had suspected things were going on, but all I did was break a monitor one day to try to stop the trash can banging, and that would be AJ Hinch. So he's against it because he wants to be able to steal signs.
Yeah. I know that was my thought too when I saw that they were, it was the the sign of the beast, the mark of the beast, I guess, whatever, that they weren't going to use it. I know the Brewers used it on opening day against the Cubs, the Giants, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Phillies, the A's, the Reds, and then of course you mentioned the Rays.
I know that Aaron Boone had just last second dropped the whole PitchCom system on Luis Severino and said, "Hey, see what you think," without any ramp up to it or any idea. Just here, do this and go out and pitch. And Severino seemed to like it. They had positive about it. I know Mike Zunino from the Rays said that he thinks it's really going to speed up the game, which is one of the main reasons that they've come up with this PitchCom is or have commissioned it, because the MLB and the MLBPA both agreed on it and approved it for use this season. And I think what was the number? I think you told me the other day it was like about half the teams.
Yeah,
are
about
using
half
it.
the teams are using it, and the Angels used it when they played. Of course, this was spring training, but when they played the Dodgers in the Freeway Series, but they aren't using it. They're not sure if they're going to use it. I don't know, and I'm not sure about the Dodgers if they're going to use it. But yeah, there are several teams that are really on board, but it's not without its issues. Corey Seager loves it, but said sometimes it malfunctions. Sometimes you don't always hear what the pitch is going to be or what the play is going to be. So
I think the Tigers were one of the teams that was calling out, like, how's this going to speed up, the game, help with pace of play. I get how it's going to stop sign stealing. But one of them said we had to stop and wait like 3 to 5 minutes because there was an issue with it, a glitch with it that we had to wait for them to get it fixed.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that they said is when you have miscommunication between the pitcher and the catcher, and then the catcher has to call time, and then they have to go out to the mound. But they're not out on the mound for 3 to 5 minutes. They're it's real quick, like, hey, let's get on the same page. So yeah, that's something that they'll have to work through. And then the other thing is, and I know people are joking, but in this day and age, hacking. Could another team hack into the PitchCom?
And see, that's what I think that AJ Hinch is against for now, because he's commissioned somebody to figure out how to do that. And once he gets that, then he'll be on board. But now Kansas City, Mike Matheny, they seem to like it. I saw that Zach Greinke thinks it's a really good idea. And the one thing that Mike Matheny, though, a former catcher, said, he said, we like it, but he also realizes that there's catchers who take pride in knowing all the signs in any iteration that they have, because they have their signs, and then they have them in different things. So when he's throwing down all the signs, some of them worked really hard at cultivating all that. It's an art form, for some, and he said, I don't want to take that away from somebody. So if somebody doesn't want to use it, I guess they're not going to have to. But eventually, if everybody's using it and you're the only one who's not, does that work in your favor or against you? And like you said, eventually, I don't care what the proprietary tech is, somebody knows how to get around it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the channels are encrypted, and teams can use code words. So it could be a fastball, but they could have a code word for a fastball or a curveball or whatever it may
Right.
be.
It could be the fastball could be, chocolate milk.
Yeah.
I know, but whatever, it could be, day at the
I was
beach
thinking
is a
like,
big curveball. I don't know.
yeah. Well, all of the teams have the technology. They have 3 transmitters, 10 receivers, and a charging case for the system. It works in Spanish and English. Teams can use 1 transmitter and up to 5 receivers at any time, along with catchers and pitchers. 3 other fielders can use a receiver, and it's tucked into their cap. So the devices can only be used on the field during games, not in clubhouses, bullpens, or dugouts. So it only works on the field. So they can't, I guess, tamper with it.
Maybe. Yeah. I know they tried it out, and like during spring training or different, that they used them in bullpen stuff. I don't remember the guy's name, but he that's with MLB, before they even went with anything, he had prototypes that if they got hit, to see what would happen. If a ball comes in on the catcher and it hit the receiver or the little transmitter, would it break up and be in 1,000 little pieces and cause injury to, come sliding into home and you get a piece of plastic stuck in you, things like that. So they did a lot of testing like that. And let me give these guys, Craig Filicetti and John Hankins are the 2 guys from that created PitchCom and their company. And I feel bad because I don't remember the name of their company now, but the Magic Company.
Pro Mystic.
Pro Mystic. That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
So will it speed up games? Right now it does have. You're gonna have to make an effort to steal the signs. I did see that on their website, it says that coming in 2023, especially for colleges as well, they have where like an Apple Watch or one of those smart watches, and it'll read when you look at it. It'll say fastball, low inside, and it'll just read out like that, not talking in your hat. And then on the fielder's gloves, it'll be like a little thing stuck to their glove. So when they look at their glove, it'll just say whatever they need to know. And I don't know, like I said, how hard or easy it'll be to eventually hack it, but somebody's going to figure it out. So Will, like I said, is it going to speed up the games? What do you think? What's your feeling about PitchCom?
I think it's interesting. The more I read about it and the whole system the guys that designed it, it was strictly because of what happened in 2017. And so they're like, what can we do to help the game of baseball and have some integrity in the game? But I don't know. It does take away from, like you said, it's an art form for the catchers to have all their signs. And it tells you, okay, curveball, fastball, but what it doesn't give you a location. So that could be an issue between the pitcher and the catcher. And I don't know. I think I'm going to have to watch some games where teams use that technology to see, is there really a difference? And then the other question I have is, we've already had a position player pitch. If a position player is pitching, do they also use the PitchCom system if their team is actively using it?
That's a good question. I mean, I would assume that they're familiar with what's going on. It's not going to be something that isn't the whole clubhouse or the whole team doesn't know about.
Yeah, it's a secret. It's a secret society.
You're
only
in the little club.
That's right.
Now, I thought that
catcher.
I thought they did tell you location.
Well, the reason I brought that up is Jacob Stalling was talking about using it, and that was one of the things. Was sometimes there was a little bit of confusion on pitch location. I guess you figure that out, but as you go along,
they talk about that when you see it, that there's buttons around it. There was like 9 buttons on this, and it's just it looks like a remote control. There's nothing on it that tells you up, down, left, right, whatever. So you figure out the catchers need to know how to do it without even looking at it, really. But you pick your pitch, but the way that those buttons are set up, it's like the strike zone. So if I hit the lower right hand corner, let's say, that's supposed to be low and away or low and inside, depending on what side the hitter is.
Yeah, I misspoke. So not necessarily does tell you the type of pitch and the location, but their concern was, Jacob Stalling's concern was, if the pitcher shakes that call off, shakes it off. And so then that would cause some, confusion on, because then they've got this PitchCom, and he's wearing it on his wrist. So then he just does another sign, and then, which would go back to making the game go faster, because if the pitcher's like, nope, I don't want to throw that. Okay, well, here, throw this. Nope, I don't want to throw that.
Right. But
do
how
they
often
just continue to go
through?
Right. So. Probably not very often. I would guess that once they start using this, and most pitchers have a, repertoire, of pitches that they throw. It was just about if a pitcher shakes it off, not so much the location, but they might say, yeah, that's the pitch, but I don't want it in that location. And the other thing that catchers mentioned in the articles I read is you have to be pretty fast on so do you remember, I think it was in the 90s, they had Nintendo came out with the Power Glove to play video, and that's kind of like what it is. It's like a power glove that the catchers wear, but they have to be quick with, hitting. And what if they hit the wrong button? And then the pitcher's like,
but
okay.
At least they hear it too.
That's true.
So they know they messed up. They're supposed to. But what are the teams doing? I know this is something that'll come as it goes, but like we've talked about with robo umps, you still have the regular umps there. And that way, if the robo ump breaks down during the game, the regular ump will take over. They're still going to have to develop a set of signs, because what if the PitchCom for some reason stops working?
Yeah, you're still going to have to,
who's responsible
the
for charging it up?
The system is down. Right. Oh man, I forgot to charge it.
The equipment guy is like, I thought I put it in there, but I guess it wasn't on there right. I know we have like a Roomba, and if it's not sitting on the chargers just right, you go to use it, it's like, I'm not charged. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Yeah. I think it brings in a whole new aspect of baseball. It's one that I think is doable because I think most people, other than you're not going to see the catcher, the catcher with his signs. But I think for purists, their technology obviously is everywhere, and I don't, it's just one thing. I think I would get used to it, but like I said, I'd like to watch a game and where both teams are using it and see, did it go faster? What was the outcome? Because so far I haven't seen that. So my verdict is out on PitchCom. I think it's just part of how the game is going with technology and just the world in general. So baseball is just following that. And if it, helps that I don't think we're ever going to see a World Series like 2017 and a team do that, even though I just saw Steven Souza Jr., who, needs to, I guess, to put his name out there again. He's playing ball, but somebody had a question, who's your favorite team? What's the team that you don't root for, you can't root for? And somebody had said the Asterix, which I think is a legitimate answer for most baseball fans. And he had to come out and, defend them and say, hey, they're a good bunch of guys. And if you think that they were the only ones stealing signs, and I'm like, really? It's 5 years. It's been 5 years. Are we still going to continue bringing up other teams? We don't need to bring up other teams because they were the ones that got caught. That's it.
Right. Nobody was, I think that like Carlos Beltran said, they crossed the line. Not to say that people weren't trying to find ways to steal signs. That's been going on as long as the game's been going. Let me figure out. But not in the way that they were doing it.
Yeah.
Or at least they weren't that close. So, I think it's time to let that go. And it is time to embrace certain things. The PitchCom thing is fine if that's going to help. I don't know if it speeds up the game. If it does, I know that's what their ultimate goal is always, we have to make things faster. You just said something that I think is going to become harder and harder to do. You said you want to be able to watch two teams both using the PitchCom to see what the effect is, the overall effect on the game is. Yeah. But if MLB has their way, that's not going to happen.
It's true. Yeah.
Because
we have updates.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, we talked about it last week about the streaming service of Apple TV doing their Friday Night Baseball, which they had their premiere, and we will talk about that. And then we do have an update on Peacock because they're going to have Sunday baseball starting on May 8th on Mother's Day.
Sunday morning baseball. Or what did I see? Somebody else called it brunch ball.
Brunch ball. So the first game is going to be the White Sox in Boston. So the White Sox versus the Red Sox. And it will be, you can watch it on an NBC broadcast network, while the remaining 17 games will be available exclusively on Peacock's premium service, which starts at $4.99 a month. So you can watch one game for free and you got to pay for the rest. So maybe
so
look
like
at the
your
schedule.
Drug dealer, we're going to give you a little taste, and now that you're hooked, we're going to charge you for it.
Yeah. So that is the question we had last week, and we answered it this week. But let's get to Apple TV. Now, you were at the game. I watched that game, the Angels playing the Asterix, and I watched it on Apple TV.
Well, I can tell you that from where I was, I could see their little sign up, and some point early in the game or before the game started, they showed a picture of the three of them that were in the booth. But from where I was, Apple TV had absolutely no effect on my viewing of the game.
You're so lucky. You're so lucky. It was...
No, because you were complaining about it while I was at the game.
Yeah, I had to text you. I had to
This
text
is
you
so
during the
bad. I got to
game.
interrupt you at the game to tell you how bad it is.
Yeah, so Apple TV Friday Night Baseball premiered last Friday. They had the Mets against the Nationals and the Astros against the Angels. And I don't think that it went like Apple TV probably thought it would go. Now, I'm pretty sure that all of the production is being done by MLB and for Apple TV, but they had interruptions during the game. Like their internet was fine. You know, they went and checked their internet, but then they would get a message that said, there's a problem loading this video. If this continues, check your internet connection, which that really stinks during a game. You're trying to, everything freezes. And Apple did have some issues, maybe because there were so many people maybe wanting to watch the game, but they didn't confirm it. But it was very distracting. The announcers were super. It was like they were on a talk show, and there happened to be a baseball game going on while they're at the talk show. And I mean, they had commentary about, they talked about squirrels. They talked about Benihana. They talked about Apple products. Now that may have been part of the, oh, I need to get up. Like one of them during the Angels game, they said, oh, my Apple Watch is beeping at me. I need to get up and wave my arm, because I'm not moving. So that maybe is part of their contract. Like they have to, they have to
see,
say.
those little things make sense. It's like saying, this is brought to you by, like we'd like Dr. Pepper to sponsor the show in some way, and we're not above saying this is this hot take is cooled down by an icy cold Dr. Pepper, or in my case, a Diet Dr. Pepper, or whatever. Product placement is, and it's Apple TV, so they can talk about it. Go, I just looked up his stats on my Mac,
right,
or something like that. That makes sense, but
yeah, and they had they had teams made up of Melanie Newman, Chris Young, Hannah Kaiser, Brooke Fletcher, Steven Nelson, Hunter Pence, Katie Nolan, and Heidi Watney. And so they had the on-field reporters, and the game I was watching had Steven Nelson, Hunter Pence, and Katie Nolan. Now, Hunter Pence, he wasn't too bad, but he really did gush over certain players. So if you're a fan of the other team, then you tune him out, because you're like, I don't care that you thought he was so great in winter ball.
Right. Well, and Hunter
So
Pence
he had his moments.
Was a ball player. Now,
Yeah.
I read, just in some of the things that I read afterwards and in the reviews of it, that people on the whole thought Hunter Pence was okay.
Yeah, I did too.
But a lot of people were upset with the female choices, and there were a couple of female journalists that tweeted about it. It's like, I'm all for women in sports, but if you're going to have one in the booth that knows baseball.
Right, exactly. It made it the stereotype. I felt like, oh, you just go to the games because you think the players are cute. Stereotype. Or
and I'm
you
surprised because Katie Nolan, I know Heidi Watney's on the recap show, like she does the quick pitch on MLB, and I thought Katie Nolan did that as well. I would think that they would have been, a little better, but it makes people that, like you even said it, and I know you're not a fan of Jessica Mendoza, but you actually were like, I would love to hear Jessica Mendoza right now.
I know I would. There's some, and I have, first listening to her, I've warmed up to her indefinitely after watching the Apple TV baseball.
You warmed up to
Heidi,
Jessica Mendoza because she's part of the Dodger team now, and you just have to accept her. That's the only reason.
No, Heidi Watney was okay. She was an on-field reporter, which I think is what she's done in the past. But yeah, they were talking about, just like I said, it was like a talk show, or somebody had said, oh, it was like a podcast. And I was like, it was a podcast I would not listen to, because it was kind of all over the place, a lot of rambling. And like I said, it just happened that there was a game going on. So they could have been in the seats, just friends, having that conversation.
That might have been better if they'd have been just sitting in the crowd talking to one another, and it was broadcast instead of being up there in the booth.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you know what you do in those cases on Friday nights is you go into the MLB app and you go to MLB audio, and you get the radio feed.
Exactly.
And then for a lot of people, they don't like the radio feed either. I know people have issues with the Angels radio team, which is Terry Smith and Mark Langston. I am fine with them, but I also didn't have that big of an issue with Joe Buck either, or his dad, Jack Buck, was great.
Yeah, no, he was great. Yeah. So I think it will. We'll see. Will they keep these same teams as far as, the announcing? Will they continue? I don't know. A lot of fans were also disappointed that there was no playback controls, so they couldn't pause or rewind or fast forward. But Apple said that those type of controls aren't supported during Friday Night Baseball on its site. And live baseball games are available for free on Apple TV for a limited time, but it is unclear when they will require a subscription. So for the time being, if it's Friday night and you want to watch one of the games, your team's playing on Apple TV, or just want to watch a game, head over to Apple TV.
Maybe you wouldn't have normally watched, and if you don't have MLB TV. And the other thing is that there's no blackout with that I'm aware of, because it's exclusively on that one channel. It's not on a local channel. Once again, though, instead of making it so that it's just available everywhere, it's like games on TBS make more sense. How many people watched Braves games all those years on TBS or WGN with the Cubs?
That's right.
So that's what they need to do. They need to do MLB channel. They need to have the MLB Game Time Network and show all day games every day.
Yeah.
With no restrictions.
They should do that.
Now, sometimes, though, you probably would like to not see your team play. Sometimes you go to see your team play in person and you wish you didn't have to watch that team play. Both of us had our own fun outings to games over the weekend. I think we need to look at Jana's adventure first.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Yeah, so went to Denver, was surprised. Planet Heads called me Friday morning and said, pack your bags, we're going to Denver. I'm like, all right. So
because that's what you want to hear, not we're going to Honolulu. We're going to Fiji. We're going to Denver.
Yeah, going to Denver. So left Saturday morning, made it up to Denver, stayed right across the from the field, from Coors Field. So that was cool. Didn't have to walk very far. Didn't have to park. Didn't have to, just walked up the street, 20th and Blake. And we had great seats. We were right behind home plate. And you never know who's going to set, and there's always a lot of Dodger fans in Denver always. And we were all out at the game, and then there's two older guys came and sat in front of us, and one was old school. He had a Todd Helton jersey on from the Rockies, and he got his scorecard out and started filling it out, which I'm like, that's cool, because that's a lost art form also. Yeah, I mean, broadcasters do it. You just don't see it a lot in the stands anymore. And then his friend comes and sits down, and he looks at me, and he says, "Oh, we're going to have a problem." And I'm like, "Why? What's going on?" And he says, "Because of this." And he holds up his orange Giants hoodie. And I'm like, it's all right. We're not in, our teams aren't playing. But throughout the game, he would shout in a very like low voice, kind of gravelly, "Beat LA!" throughout. And then whenever the Rockies, would get a strike, he would do the motion. So it was like he started we were, Planet Head and I were joking about how it was like an involuntary movement he had with his arm.
Yeah, just automatically did it. Then he's like, oh, hey, wait.
Yeah, it was a good game. The Dodgers did lose. They lost 3-2, but it was close. It was back and forth, and it was a good game. And I have never been up to Denver several times, and that is the loudest that I have heard that stadium. And even like you always hear "Let's Go Dodgers" in stadiums all over, wherever the Dodgers are playing. And a lot of times you don't hear them being overtaken, but the Rockies fans were trying to, overtake, like, hey, this is not your park. And so there was a lot of back and forth. It was, like I said, it was a good game. And it was funny because the guy, the Giants fan in front of me, called Justin Turner when he got up to the plate. He said, "Hey, strike out, Garden Gnome." And so I was like, okay.
That's
and
funny.
Then later,
like
Justin Turner made that amazing catch over the railing. And so I shouted, "How's that for a Garden Gnome?" And the guy said, "Touche."
Touche. Yep. That was a good catch. That really was.
And there are still people that are lamenting the loss of Nolan Arenado. Brian McMahon plays third base, and the guy in front of us, the Helton fan, was like, "Ryan would have made that play."
Or Nolan.
So, I mean, Nolan, Ryan did not make that play. So
Ryan, you're having an out-of-body experience over there.
Ryan,
you
Nolan would have made that play.
Yeah.
And then his best comeback for Trey Turner was, "Go back to Washington." I'm like, well, he was traded, so yeah. So it was fun. It's always fun to go to the ballpark, and was sad to see Planet Head had a winning streak. Whenever we would go Dodgers play, the Dodgers always won, and that streak is now over. So
that's why I told you
it was
needed
fun
to go the next day, because I think even though the result was worse than the previous day, you could have maybe, you guys being there could have maybe turned it all around. Overall, I guess it's over. I don't know what you're going to root for the rest of the season.
I don't know. It looks bad.
They're not going to even win 70 really games this year, it doesn't look like.
No, no one's going to hit home runs. Well, Austin Barnes, he got the first home run.
The first and only. home run.
The first and only in Coors Field, which is crazy. And yeah, I mean, the season's over, so I don't know what we're gonna do with my segment on the podcast, but
we're just gonna talk
we'll
about
figure
how
it out.
bad they are for a few minutes, or maybe because who well, the Rays are undefeated,
Yeah.
so maybe you could go become a Rays fan, or or I don't know, or you could just jump ship and go to the Padres.
Oh,
They're leading the
no.
West.
I don't know. I can't do that. I look better in blue than I do in brown and gold.
Yeah,
It makes my
don't
face look
knock it
bad.
until you tried it. Don't knock it till you tried it. Put some like gold shimmery stuff on your face for when you watch the game, like a face paint or something. And
I don't know. The first game they won, Walker Buehler looked good. Even Tony Gonsolin the next night, along with Tyler Anderson. I was really impressed with Tyler Anderson. They, both of them came, I think they had 7 innings. They piggybacked for 7 innings, allowing 2 runs. So it really was, though, Saturday night they had Herman Marquez pitching for the Rockies, and he's always been a Dodger killer. I mean, he has like a 2.89 ERA against them. So
yeah, he threw 7 innings. Whereas I mean, between Gonsolin and Anderson, which I'm sure that Gonsolin was on a pitch limit, probably.
Yeah,
that was probably the plan. Marquez only made one mistake, and that was the home run he gave up to Cuz.
Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, and then Sunday I was not watching the game. I was on my way back south on I-25, but it didn't look good. And there is some concern about Julio Urias. He does have his velocity has dropped. So
gave up 6 runs in 2 innings in that game. Some speculation that he might end up on the IL. I don't know if that's the case, if there was something there, but that was very un-Julio-like, that's for sure.
It was, yeah. I mean, because when you see that he's going to start a game, you expect it to be, a well-pitched game. And it was very, like you said, a very un-Julio-like. And, the Dodgers only had 6 runs in the final 2 games in the series. The number 9 spot in the Dodgers batting order, which is no longer a pitcher, Gavin Lux had a pair of hits, including a 2-run single that was on Friday's game. And then, like we mentioned, Austin Barnes was the only home run of the weekend. And Dodgers' number 9 hitters were 4 for 9. 2 walks, 3 runs scored, 3 RBIs. So that 9 spot was getting it done for the Dodgers.
Yeah, Lux at the bat looked pretty good. Didn't strike out in any of his at bats. Yeah, which is good. He and CT3 lead the team right now in batting. CT3's at 571. Lux batting 375 with those 2 walks, no strikeouts. Couple of clutch hits, and that was the thing on the Friday's game. I was watching that one, and they were down, and then they came back, and you're like, okay, this looks like the Dodgers.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, okay, we've let them have this long enough. Let's take it, and they came back to win that, and then after that they, too many strikeouts. Not enough patience at the plate. Now, I will say that there was one bright spot in what we've all been worried about for a couple seasons now, and that's Cody Bellinger. In his 11 at-bats, he only struck out 3 times out of those 11. So that actually is a positive note.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did have a parade in downtown Denver because it was the Rockies' first series win against the Dodgers since 2018. Now the Dodgers, it was their first defeat in an season opening series since 2013. So that is where if you're a Dodger fan, jump ship now. Just don't
Get out.
stick with it.
Don't-
Just
don't
find other
stay.
things to do. You don't need that stress in your life. So now, one thing that I did see, got to see Freddie Freeman in Dodger blue, and but before the game started, Freddie Freeman was, getting ready to bat after Mookie Betts. So he was standing there taking his swings, and this guy comes down from, I don't know where he was setting, but close enough to the net that Freeman could hear him. He has a Braves sweatshirt on and a Braves hat, and he's yelling at Freddie Freeman. You couldn't really make out, just that he was a traitor. I did hear that. Some obscenities. And then he pointed to his hat and said, "This A means something." And I was like, yeah, it means Atlanta. But he didn't mean it in that way. But he was yelling and screaming at Freeman. And of course, he didn't pay any attention to him. And I was like, really?
In his case meant something completely different.
Yeah, it probably did not
Ending in
mean
hole.
it. Right. But I thought, man, really? You bought a ticket to the game for two teams that you don't care about, so you could heckle Freeman. And there were some others that did that too, which I thought that's really sad.
That coming up here next week, looking at the schedule, that the Braves visit the Ravine, that there's probably going to be some California Dodger or Braves fans that will be showing up to boo and otherwise heckle Freddie Freeman. Speaking of Dodger schedule, they went up to the Twin Cities to play the Twins, and presumptive MVP of the American League, Byron Buxton, is just after the first weekend. Who else could be MVP?
That's it. I have not even penciled him. I put it in Sharpie.
I'm chiseling into some stone.
Okay.
It's going to be there forever.
That's even more so.
Exactly. So they went up to see them. We'll talk about this week's games next week. They start up their homestand today, actually.
Yep.
And they'll be playing the Reds for 4. And then, like I said, the Braves will come to town. So it'll be interesting that I'm looking ahead to when the Dodgers play in Atlanta for that. The other one I was looking at is that because this year the Braves will play the A's, and it'd be interesting to see how the A's fans. I think the A's fans are going to welcome Matt Olson back and give him a standing ovation, and when he comes back, because he didn't ask to leave necessarily.
Right. Yeah, he got traded, but he did receive a standing ovation at his first at bat at Truist Field, Park, Stadium, whatever it's called, and from the Braves fans.
So
that was
Freddie who? That's right, Freddie Freeman. He's a Dodger. Get over it.
Well, one of the things that I saw a headline, and it said, Jansen Freeman talk of budding rivalry between Atlanta and LA. And I'm like, where have you been? This is not a budding rivalry. And I guess people don't realize that because they used to be in the same division.
Right.
They're not anymore. So they're like, oh, there's not a rivalry. The rivalry is Dodgers Giants. Yes. That has always been a rivalry and always will be a rivalry. But I think you put that on that's like a different tier.
Yes, it's Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, Giants.
Yeah. But when I saw that, a budding rivalry, I'm like, where have you guys been? Because it's been around a lot longer than you think. And I think that is the biggest problem that fans have, or Atlanta fans, is, and we talked about this, was him going to the Dodgers. If it had been another team, it probably wouldn't have been that big of a deal, but he went to the Dodgers. and they hate the Dodgers.
Just gone to the Pirates or the Orioles or the Diamondbacks even.
Yeah.
It'd have been a whole different thing. What's he doing that for?
But
they wouldn't have had the same issues that they do with the Dodgers, because now he's just he went to the highest bidder and the Dodgers are just trying to win, buy a championship.
That's all they do. That's all they do. So obviously he can deal with what's going on, where people will boo, or like that guy in Denver that came to heckle him specifically, had his Braves gear on. But we did hear comments that were made by Ronald Acuna Jr. That were, I'm not going to miss him. I didn't really care for him when he was here in Atlanta. And so that came across, as like, kind of sour grapes in a way. And then, and he later tried to say, well, no, I didn't mean it in that way. A lot of it had to do with he's a younger player coming up through the ranks of the Braves organization. The Braves organization, they have a set of rules like a lot of ball clubs do, and you don't do certain things. And he was doing those things. And as a veteran player in the clubhouse, Freddie Freeman, was involved in, pulling him aside and saying, hey, we don't do this or we don't do that. So,
yeah, if you go to the Dodgers page on MLB, they have the interview that Freddie did with the MLB Tonight crew, Harold Reynolds, and I don't remember who else was on the show that day, Dan Plesac, I think, and they talked to him about that, and he and Freddie Freeman answered all the questions, so you can find that there. And one thing that he's been forthcoming with everything. Freddie Freeman's got any other players, they probably would have just said, well, good for him. I think the players I don't know why he would say that. I mean, maybe they shouldn't say anything, because all of them know that if even Ronald Acuna Jr., if the Dodgers offered him more money than the Braves, he's going to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Or wherever. It's like, good for him. He's getting paid. The Braves didn't want to do it. They're not going to, you don't have to talk bad about your own organization. Just, what do you got to go out of your way to say something derogatory about somebody that was a big part of the team? If you didn't like him, you go, well, good for him. I'm okay. He left. He did what was best for him and his family. And that should be the end.
Yeah.
And now what needs to be done best for his new family is to start hitting.
Yeah. He needs to start hitting. That is true. I do want to mention there was something that happened on the Friday game. Jose Iglesias, a former Angel, he lost his dad a few weeks ago. And as we know, that's hard when, we're dedicating this season to our mom, and there are moments that just hit you. And for Jose, that he got his first hit of the season, and the emotions came out, and people couldn't quite figure out what's going on, because it's private. It's a personal thing. But Freddie Freeman was there to comfort him. And, I think that kind of shows how the game of baseball is even bigger than the game that's played on the field, because Freddie Freeman lost, his mom passed away when he was 10. So he knows that feeling. So I thought that was really a nice moment, that he put his arm around him. And I think it also shows the type of guy that Freddie Freeman is. So I'm glad that he's in Dodger blue, and look forward to rooting for him for the rest of the season.
There's one thing that I harped on last season. A couple stats that I would use occasionally was left on base and what they did with runners in scoring position. And I didn't bring this up during the Dodger segment, but over 3 games, they left 21 men on base. Now, would that have helped them out if they could have gotten a few of those runs in to win the games? Well, all of the games were close enough that, yes, they could have. If they'd have if they'd have got all 7 guys they left on base in their last game versus the Rockies they could have won that game 11-9. The Angels, similar issue. They left 24 men on base over the 4-game set. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot in some cases, but it is because the Angels just couldn't generate a whole lot of offense. But when we look at the scores of the 4-game set with the asterisks, if you look at the finals, most of them are pretty close. But if you look at the inning by inning scores, like on Friday night, they lost 13-6. But there was an 8-run inning that contributed to that. At one point, it was 2-2. So they actually, the starting pitching overall came through. It was the bullpen that everybody's been heralding as this, gift from God, that Perry Manassian is some sort of a genius because look at what he built, and they let him down. The problem on this overreaction to the first weekend of baseball is that the Angels, the reactions that everybody had, yes, it's only 4 games. Will they get better? Will things change? Yes, they will. The problem is the Angels look like the Angels from last year and the year before that and the year before that and the year before that. The Angels in perpetuity look like the Angels. The Angels weren't even ready to play themselves. The Angels weren't ready for the Angels.
Well, there was history made, so there are positives for the Angels. And of course, his name is Shohei Ohtani, and he made history as pitcher, position player, and designated hitter, position player. So
yeah, he threw out the
spots.
first pitch for his team and took the first pitch of the season as a batter.
Yes.
He's batting 118.
That is true. Now, I did see, and I'm sure that these are not up to date, but I think it was after maybe Saturday's game where it said that lineup, Ohtani, Trout, Rendon, that the first 3 batters, 3 for 29, something of that.
That was very correct. That they ended up the series 6 of 39.
Ugh.
Now everybody got all excited because Shohei blistered a ball. I'm surprised the cover didn't come off of it, and some kind of other legend, because he hit it nearly 120 miles an hour. It was a double, and that was in Sunday's game. They, for being, honestly, for playing as badly as it felt like they played, they did stay pretty close with the asterisks.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things during the series, every time Jose Altuve came to bat, there was a lot of booing. A few times on the game I was at, chants of cheater came up, and then Michael Brantley would come up, nothing.
Yeah.
Then Alex Bregman would come up. He would get some boos, but nothing like Altuve.
Yeah.
Yuli Gurriel was there on Friday night, but then he was out on maternity leave or paternity leave or whatever they call it.
Paternity.
For his, what they have, so he was gone. So he didn't play the rest of the series. So he would have been another one that probably would have got booed. But after that, there's really nobody around. Justin Verlander was part of the team, but he's not really associated with all that because he wasn't hitting.
Right.
So, but he was on that team, and he stood up for his teammates at the time, but he would have been the only one. And that honestly was probably the best game of the series as far as an overall, because Syndergaard versus Verlander, two guys coming back off of Tommy John surgery, really their first full seasons back. Pretty good matchup, 2-0 win for the Angels that night. Jared Walsh and Mike Trout both contributed with home runs. And, we were there just on that Friday night game. It was okay, and then they just fell apart. And the thing is, if you look at every game, the starter, Shohei, kept the Asterix in check, struck out Altuve the first couple times he came up.
You had 9 strikeouts in that game.
Yeah.
So
that was definitely, he looked good in that regards. He just hasn't hit yet. He'll get there. There's a lot of Mike Trout hit more now. He's got a home run. He's had a double, but even he's striking out a bit. They took him out of the game, took him and Rendon out of the game early on the Friday night game. And Joe Adell went into Trout's spot and promptly struck out. It's like, well, that's what Mike was doing. He just, why have Mike go in there and ruin his stats? Adele's going to strike out anyway. So seems like a good swap.
I would say Friday's game, just blame it on Apple TV.
Okay. That works. But they had the
if
problem,
it makes you feel better.
No, you know what? It doesn't, because it was the bullpen.
Yeah.
Reed Detmers gave up 2 runs. He's a rookie pitcher. Overall pitched okay. Not great. There wasn't any dominance there, but he did okay. But then they couldn't get any outs. Oliver Ortega came in, pitched okay, gave up a couple of runs, not so bad. But then Mike Myers, who had been pretty shut down the last couple of seasons, comes in, can't get anybody out. And then it goes on. Jimmy Herget in that game had a 108 ERA. I think by the end of the weekend, he was down to 27. But they couldn't get anybody out. They were just like, and it was like, you get the bases full, they call it the merry-go-round. They were just moving station to station. They just kept scoring until a 3-run home run brought most of them home. We went through Herget, and I don't remember who else came in. And Tapera, I think, came in, and just nobody could get anybody out. Berea came in, and he couldn't get anybody out at first. And then when he finally got somebody out, the crowd half sarcastically applauded and half appreciative and hopeful that this was the end of whatever that was of watching, because it's hard to watch a team that you hate.
Yeah.
Against, a team that you love. I mean, if you're watching 2 teams that you don't care so much about, it could still be hard to watch, especially when it's just they can't get anybody out. It was hard, and it didn't feel like, as Yogi Berra would have said, it was deja vu all over again. It didn't feel like, oh, it's just early season. Joe Adell, who looked good in the spring. And what did I tell you last week? Spring training. It was spring training.
Yeah.
That's all it was. 0 for 9. 7 strikeouts. Can he turn it around? Sure. But how? What is he going to do? Does he need to go back to AAA? I don't know. Brandon Marsh is hitting 286 over a similar amount of at bats. Anthony Rendon's looked okay in the field, but he can't seem to hit anything. He did miss a home run by just a few feet. And like we said, they were, the murderer's row of Ohtani, Trout, and Rendon, 6 of 39. Couldn't get anything going. Will they? Yeah, eventually something's going to happen, but I don't know if it's ever going to matter. And then the other thing that we saw during this was that the Asterix played David Fletcher perfectly. They adjusted to him the way that Fletcher hits. Fletcher's going to have to come up with a different thing. He was different than everybody else because he hits a lot of singles. He's led the major leagues in singles the last couple seasons. He's got to really change his approach because everybody's going to figure that out. So he didn't hit well because they were always right there. Jared Walsh, 6 for 16 over the weekend. Like I said, Brandon Marsh hitting well. Like I said, starters were okay, but the pen fell apart in every game. They were the ones who gave up most of the runs. Thor, Syndergaard, he didn't look bad, but of the 16 outs that he got, he only had 1 strikeout. So he wasn't dominating that way. They backed him up, got all the balls, 15 balls put in play were outs, but he only struck out 1. What does that mean? Maybe nothing. Maybe it's just his first outing. He looked better than some of the others, but Shohei looked good. Reed looked okay. Thor looked good. Jose Suarez, who started the Sunday game, didn't look bad, but then he started falling apart and just couldn't get anybody out, and they took him out early enough, but they had a 1-0 lead thanks to Captain Jack Mayfield. And they just can't. They don't have enough firepower. Their pitching hasn't been solid enough that they can hold a 1-0 lead. I know it's only 4 games, but unlike the other overreactions, these are rooted in this looks exactly like last season. Doesn't seem any different. And the offense sputtered. Now they do have Miami coming in. And then they go to Texas, and then they go to Houston. So maybe they can figure some things out. Maybe versus an inferior team to the Asterix, they'll play better against the Marlins. I don't know how they're going to play versus Texas. Texas can be, tough on them. They, can split it. It just depends. And we don't really know, Texas is still having their issues coming together and playing. So, all you can do and Corey Seager breaks the handle off of his bat, gets a single.
Yeah.
So,
that's crazy.
So I
was we have talked about this, about some other players, but we did mention Joe Adell and how, he was, I think you told me, the number 2 prospect between, sandwiched in between Vladdy Jr. and Tatis Jr., which was like, what? He was where?
Yep. He was number 2. Vladdy was 1. Joe Adell was 2. Tatis Jr. was 3. So I think I figured out what his problem is.
And that is?
He's not a junior.
That could be it. He needs to be a junior. But we also talked about how you can be, a good prospect and you're doing everything right at certain levels of the game. And then you get into the show and you can't do anything. And sometimes, a lot of times, players, they turn it around. Joe Adell still is not turned it around. He's had, he gets a hit here, he, makes a catch, or he gets a home run here and there. But I wonder, is he just better in AAA than he will ever be in the majors?
There's that's possible. They're pushing for him to come up because of that high lofty status. They're going to keep giving him chances. Everybody is gushing. On Sunday, he's playing left field. He goes back on a ball that could have been a home run ball or at least extra bases. And Kubica and Patrick O'Neill We're calling Sunday's game. But Adele goes back on a ball and makes what looks like a spectacular catch up against the wall. And even in the post-game shows, Bobby Valentine, who's been showing up to do post-game shows for the Angels, he's like, oh, talking about that play. Spectacular play, helped it from being a big inning. But if you watch him, he almost blew it. He started to misplay the ball, and he was close enough where he could adjust a little bit and was able to make the catch, and it made it look like it was a spectacular catch. No, had he played it correctly, it would have been a routine fly ball. He would have been back up against the fence. And yeah, he saved a run potentially or two, but it was his mess up that now because we so badly want, we talked about this in our first season about biases. He's he's high on the prospect list, or was. Number 1 draft picks. We expect more of them. And when he's not doing it, now we're grabbing hold to any little thing, grasping at these straws. Will he have moments? Yes, he had moments last year when he finally hit a home run. Okay, good for him. But he still doesn't look like he's ready to play at this level. And I would think by now, this is a guy who should have been a Rookie of the Year candidate based on projections.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see the difference between him and Brandon Marsh. Brandon Marsh, was their high on. Brandon Marsh doesn't have the same pressure on him.
Yeah. And maybe that goes to, the pressure. Maybe he feels, I don't know, I'm not in his head, but I always, when he first started, when they brought him up in, the shortened season, he has, the same kind of thing that Gavin Lux has lost. I don't see it as much with him anymore. But he was very, cocky in that, look at me, I'm this prospect. And Gavin Lux was like that with the Dodgers, and you don't see that. He's been humbled, I think, in a way. But I don't know if Joe Adele has gotten there yet.
Well, Joe Adele had shown that maturity in spring training.
Right. Yeah.
And I even told you I'm enjoying watching him play these games that I've seen, because it looks like he's finally figured something out. And it's not that he's showing, this cockiness during the games, and I could get it. Maybe just some jitters. Maybe there is pressure because he had such a good spring. And like I said, reset to 0 when it starts. It doesn't matter what you did in spring. Try to carry it over, but you hit 5 home runs in spring training doesn't mean anything in the regular season. You won the Cactus League. Woo! Put the banner up, because that's the only thing you're going to win this season if you continue to play. That's why Ken Rosenthal was hesitant.
Yes.
And the way that they played, this is what we all expect from them. They're playing up to the fans' expectation, or to the league's expectations. The fans want them to play better, but the rest of the league and the non-Angel fans all go, this is the Angels. Now, I will admit that, the Asterix, they're a good team. And something that I learned that really kind of opened my eyes and helped solidify that idea of what a good team they are. Nobody strikes out less than they do. As a team, they struck out less than 20% of the time across last season. They're very patient at the plate. Altuve struck out 3-4 times in one game. They're still ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but I'm not. Bregman, I kept wanting to be hit by a bus. Bregman's become the bus that ran over the Angels. He had a good series, couple of home runs, was hitting, and I find myself not so when he comes to the plate, not so like disgusted with him. I find him like, hey, I got some respect for the guy. He can play. I still think he needs to tell the truth about his size. He says he's 6 foot. He's standing right next to David Fletcher, who's just 5'9", and looking him eye to eye, like straight across. He's no 6 foot, but beyond that, I can't. Bregman is. I just don't feel the same hatred towards him.
Right.
Maybe because it's transferring to Kyle Tucker.
Yeah. You just
But for
a
Kyle
transference.
Tucker, it's more because he seems to have this look on his face that I want to slap off of it, and he continues to do things that make it hard to have issue with him as far as baseball skills and that. He hits the ball, he plays well, And I think the other thing is that it was easier. Altuve's really the only one to be still crazy upset about and boo now that Correa's gone.
Yeah, he's going to take the brunt. So that means there's going to be a lot of comforting for Altuve in the dugout.
And the kid that took Correa's spot looks pretty good too, Pena. He had a hit, had a home run during the series. So the Asterix have already proven that they're the team to beat in the West, AL West. Like I said, the Angels will go meet up with them again coming up here in a couple weeks. They've got Texas and the Marlins. They'll finish up their homestand with the Marlins and then head off to Texas for the 2 series there. Next week, by the way, we will start our Players of the Week for the Dodgers and Angels. Once we get a full week's under there, we didn't want to just do one after a weekend. And quite frankly, I don't think the Angels really had a player of probably Jared Walsh if I had to really name one in a pinch. But they just didn't really have anybody that I would feel comfortable giving it to. And kind of the same with the Dodgers. I guess, oddly enough, it probably would have been Gavin Lux.
Yeah, it would have been. I was just thinking that Gavin Lux probably would have been Player of the Week, and also because of that awesome slide
Right.
he had. It was.
So, like I said, if you're a Dodger or an Angel fan, it's over. 2% of the season is now complete, and we can see losing records.
We got our crystal ball. Yep.
Losing records. The Angels are at the bottom of the AL West. The Dodgers lost to the Rockies. I don't even want to see what the Diamondbacks are going to do to them.
I know. What world do we live in? What is going on?
Let's hop on that rotating tower in the sky. Take a look around baseball, see what's happening. Let's do like we've done the last couple of weeks and start off with some Division I baseball. Take a look at the polls, see how much of a change there's been. I know there's been a couple of decent changes that happened, but no change atop the poll. The Vols seem to have settled in after a bunch of changes there for a few weeks. Tennessee continues on after taking out David Lipscomb and a sweep of Missouri. Mizzou could not stop the Vols.
Yeah, the first team ever to start SEC play, 12-0. They are 31-1 overall and have won 23 games in a row. So they have cemented their spot for now at number 1. Miami jumped 6 spots to number 2 after sweeping Virginia, who
was number 2.
Yeah, they were number 3. And now they're number 8.
Which was where Miami was last week. So they kind of swapped spots.
Kind of, yeah. Oregon State moved up 2 spots to number 3. They had sweeping a road series at Southern California for the first time ever. Texas Tech held steady at number 4, but Grand Canyon University, don't hear very much about Grand Canyon University in Arizona, stunned Texas Tech over the weekend. And but Texas Tech stays at 4. And then Oklahoma State, number 5, Texas, number 7. They both had winning weekends. Arkansas fell 4 spots to number 6.
Yeah, they got swept by Florida, and that precipitated that drop.
Yeah, so the right now you've got Tennessee, Miami, Oregon State, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Arkansas, Texas, Virginia, Louisville at number 9. They move up into the top 10. They were 12, and Notre Dame was at 13, and they are now number 10. And Southern Miss vaulted 7 places to number 11 after sweeping a road series at Charlotte. UCLA moved up 3 spots to number 12, followed by Georgia, Gonzaga, LSU, and Dallas Baptist. We've heard Dallas Baptist, that name before. They're always a team to watch. Auburn is in the top 25 for the first time. They're at number 17. Vanderbilt is, I'm not sure what's going on with Vanderbilt this season, because they're always in the top 10, and they are out of the rankings.
Thanks to Auburn, probably, because Auburn beat them 2 out of 3.
Yep. So you've got Virginia Tech makes a debut at number 21. And then Stanford returns back into the rankings at number 22, and Florida is back in at number 23. Alabama makes its season debut at number 24, and Ole Miss, they were number 9. They are now 25.
And at one point, we're the number 1 team.
Yeah, they were the number 1 team.
Mississippi State was the number 1 team. Ole Miss was the number 1 team, and they both have fallen out. I don't know what's going on in Mississippi.
I don't know.
But the magic has worn off. There's 8 SEC teams in the top 25.
Yeah, it's crazy that teams that fell out of the rankings. We mentioned Vanderbilt, Florida State, North Carolina State, North Carolina, and Texas Christian University, the Horned Frogs of TCU. But it's interesting you mentioned SEC and how many teams are in the top 25. Opening day rosters with the most players from a conference. Who do you think leads that list?
The Unknown Colleges Association Conference?
No?
No,
I think they're kind of in the middle. It would be the SEC. 93 players on opening day rosters are from the SEC.
Now the minor leagues have fired up, and they're going on about their business, and so not a lot to talk about so far. Kind of watching. I know, like Howard Cole, who is a writer, pretty much does all Dodger stuff, and is a Dodger fan. Lives and dies. I don't know how many times I saw him tweet that he was in a fetal position over the weekend. He started following and tweeting about what was going on at AAA Oklahoma City, Dodgers AAA team. You know, like Zach McKinstry's done this, or this player's done this. So I see that there's a lot of interest in the minors this year. And I wonder if that door was open because of the lockout and people have just decided to stick with it. We'll definitely take a look at how some of the teams are doing in the coming weeks. We got to give them a little time to get started up and and see, any of these prospects that we can overreact to later on when they don't, when they become Joe Adele.
Yeah. Well, so I am going tomorrow to see the Isotopes play on Jackie Robinson Day. And
which reminds me real quick, and I'm sorry to interrupt on this, but the Dodgers game is on Apple TV for Jackie Robinson Day. Why would you have it on? It should be like when we were kids, when the president spoke, he was on every channel.
Yes, it should be that way.
Dodgers should be on every channel, all of them.
It's the 75th anniversary. 75th anniversary. And so I was excited. We got tickets to go celebrate Jackie Robinson Day, really, because we just wanted to celebrate. And at the time, it was going to be the minors. We didn't know what was going on. That was the only baseball
we were assured of at that point.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. I'll have a firsthand report. And I know earlier in the season, I said, I think it was the first episode, I said I had a little bit of a soft spot for the Rockies. I do not have any soft spot. I realized that I said that, and I really meant I do have a soft spot for the Isotopes. They're minor. They are their AAA team, their affiliate team, but it is our hometown team. So my loyalties, I want people to know where my loyalties lie. And that is not with the Rockies in Denver, but with the Isotopes in Albuquerque, watching them play. It's just fun to go and watch any baseball. But we need to take a look at the minor league, see what's going on, and who's popping up to take over as the prospects.
Once upon a time, Zach Greinke was a prospect. And then he went to Kansas City. And I believe it was 7 opening day starts in Kansas City. And he never won one of them. And then he went off and he came to the Angels. Mm-hmm. And then he immediately said, this is no place for a pitcher like me. And he left and he went to the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks and the Asterisks. And then what seems like maybe his swan song, he's back with his first team. And he did something he had never done in Kansas City before.
He finally had barbecue?
That's possible. I don't know. That wasn't in the story. I didn't see that.
He won a game.
He won an opening day start in Kansas City, something he had never done before. And Kansas City was playing the Guardians, and a couple of rookies I think they're waiving the Hall of Fame time frame, and they're going to go ahead and induct him this summer based off of this weekend. And the other one, he didn't do too badly. We'll start with him. Bobby Witt Jr. called up, makes the opening day roster, and has an okay weekend. Gets a double. That was his first major league hit. Couple of good plays. I know Harold Reynolds thinks he's looking the part. Looks like, of course, his dad was a pretty decent pitcher back in the day, Bobby Witt. So you had him on the Royals side, but the Guardians had a rookie that, like I said, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Like I said, probably this summer and I think they've already decided he's the MVP as well.
I think MVP, going to be Rookie of the Year.
Right, he's getting everything.
He's got everything.
Somehow they're going to figure out he's the Cy Young as well.
Yeah.
And Manager of the Year. I don't know how he's going to sweep all the awards.
He's going to take it all. And his name is Stephen Kwan. He 6 singles, 2 doubles, 1 triple, 5 walks since opening day. They had the 4-game set against the Royals. Reached base 15 times in his first 4 major league games. The most any player has logged in his first 4 career games since at least 1901.
Yeah, that's crazy. He's batting 800, 26 swings, no misses. So Eloy Jimenez, I mentioned at the beginning of the show from the White Sox, is in that whiff rate is 0 at this point. But here's the interesting part with Stephen Kwan. He has not struck out since September 26th of last year. That includes spring training. He has not struck out. Now, chances are at some point he's going to swing and miss at something. But right now, he's the, the 5-tool player, or the guy that I saw the other day had embroidered on his hat. It said, it's supposed to say 5-tool player, but the 5 looked like an S. So it looked like he was a stool player. I'm not really sure what.
That would not be something I'd want.
Not sure what he was trying to get across there, if it was 5-tool or stool. But this kid is, if he can keep it up. Remember last season, the White Sox and the Angels, Yermin Mercedes had a 5-hit game.
Where is he now?
Stephen Kwan. AAA.
Yeah.
Whatever the AAA club for the White Sox is, that's where Yermin Mercedes. He started off strong and then faded off. Those are the kinds of things that make this overreaction time frame is, you're excited for them. It's cool. And you want those things to start off the season because then people get excited about it, but eventually they're going to fall off. And as they fall off, the true superstars are starting to rise usually.
Now, one thing I loved about opening day is National Beer Day. And as you know, I am a root beer connoisseur. No, that would be my boys. I am a Dr. Pepper connoisseur. National Beer Day, how perfect is this? Diamondback Seth Beer hits a 3-run walk-off home run to stun the Dregs and beat them on National Beer Day. And your last name is Beer. I mean, was that scripted? Did the National Beer Association have something to do with that?
Remember the name Seiya Suzuki? He's a Cub.
Yes, I have. And he loves Mike Trout.
Yes, he publicly announced that. Said it right to him. Looked in the camera. Mike Trout, I love you. And not only does he love Mike Trout, but he has quite the batter's eye in that of the 57 pitches he saw over the weekend, he swung at 12 pitches. 11 of them were in the strike zone. So he only swung at pitches in the strike zone.
Yeah,
they didn't have him chasing junk like I saw some other players. Justin Turner.
Oh my goodness.
Swinging at something that was in the dirt from the beginning.
Yeah.
Practically rolled the ball up there. He was already swinging at it. And, you see some of those pitches that clearly they're going to fall off. It's like, why are you swinging at that? Is that in the script that you're supposed to do that? So, and then the one pitch that he swung at that was outside of the strike zone ends up being a bloop single, scores a run. I was impressed with that. I guess his right now his strikeout rate it would be 3.4%. For a full season, Juan Soto holds the number from last year at 12.2%. So his numbers may go up, but on a small sample size, he's pretty impressive. We had a couple of brawls over this first weekend, and one of them just made me nostalgic because it involved my old buddy Steve Cishek.
Oh yeah, I saw that and I thought of you. How proud you'd be.
I was. I guess he moved from the Orange County beaches to the New York or Jersey Shore. I don't know where he's doing it, but he's selling his seashells by the seashore. Steve Cishek in his sea shack got Buck Showalter all up in arms when he hit Francisco Lindor. Caught the part of his helmet. Luckily, I mean, it was up in his head. Caught half his part of his helmet, so it didn't make contact with his face like it could have. But that got everybody. Benches cleared. Bullpen ran out from the outfield. And we're ready to take on Showalter going crazy. And then comes out and says, hey, this is why they need to be able to use spider tack or some sort of a. And wasn't there something about that the baseball was going to find a tackier ball?
Right. Yeah. We talked
really
about
heard
it last
anything about it.
season and how they were, in the experimental leagues, they had used balls that were tackier, and then that kind of fell off. Haven't heard anything. So I'll have to look into that.
More concerned with the lockout and bringing the Ghost Runner back.
That and also Manfred, he doesn't want to be a bad guy. He wants to have good relations with the players. So he gave them, all players in major leagues, Bose headphones as a gift, as a token of his appreciation for their hard work. And the thing is, though, you said it was so the players didn't have to listen to what he had to say. I believe the fans also deserve Bose headphones from Manfred.
Yes, I think so too. Noise canceling, so we don't as ever again, and how much hate he spews towards.
But back to the brawl.
So you had that, and then head on over to the north side of Chicago, to Wrigley, where the Brewers and the Cubs are taking on each other. Andrew McCutchen, latest addition to the Brewers, he gets hit by Keegan Thompson and wasn't real happy about it. And yet again, benches cleared. Thompson was thrown out. Cishek was thrown out of his game. And
now,
we've already...
In the Cubs Brewers game, they took exception to that because Wilson Contreras and Ian Happ had been hit earlier in the game. And so they felt like it was, retribution. They were hitting and it just happened to be, which, if you're going to pick somebody and you say, hey, we're going to hit the next batter, I would not pick Andrew McCutchen. That would not be the player I would go after.
But that's who they went after, and he, like I said, he was not happy about it, and thus benches cleared.
We did have some contract extensions, and the Pirates made big news. They issued the largest contract in franchise history, agreeing to an 8-year, $70 million extension with third baseman Brian Hayes. And Jason Kendall's 6-year, $60 million deal that was signed in 2000 had been Pittsburgh's biggest contract to date. And that still is, 8 years, $70 million extension. And Max Scherzer still makes more money than the entire team. So, but, good for Brian Hayes.
He promptly got hurt. And was taken out of the game. It wasn't anything big, but just like some cramping or a pulled muscle or something that wasn't major. But it's always funny how that happens.
Yeah, sign a big deal, get hurt. A couple of other signings. Jose Ramirez signed an extension with the Guardians, 5 years, $124 million, and J.P. Crawford of the Mariners signed a 4-year, $51 million extension to stay in Seattle. So some signings there. And then we mentioned a trade, I think last week, and I don't know if we actually, San Diego and Minnesota had a trade. Chris Paddock, they'd been shopping around, has landed in Minnesota along with Emilio Pagan, plus a player to be named later. And San Diego will send some money to Minnesota. And Taylor Rogers and Brent Rooker are headed to San Diego. So if you're
Now there was another trade that we mentioned and didn't follow up on, and that was Sean Manaea from the A's to the Padres.
Yes.
And that when I was looking back through my notes, I said, we mentioned this, but he is now in San Diego.
We mentioned CC Sabathia, who is probably, a likely Hall of Famer, former Yankee. He has joined Major League Baseball as a special assistant to Commissioner Rob Manfred. It is a position that was specifically made for CC, and we know that he has had some words concerning how Manfred's running the game. So, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
We're going to find a way to shut you up, CC. Here, we got a job for you.
That's it. That's
sure
all that
enough.
needs. And if we go to Japan, there is a player, Roki Sasaki, and I probably
Sasaki.
didn't. Yeah, so Roki, he's already on MLB teams' radars. He's in his second season in Nippon Professional Baseball, which is Japan's top professional league. And he's 20 years old. He's a right-hander for the Chiba Lati Marines. He tied a record with the Nippon Professional Baseball record with 19 strikeouts while throwing a perfect game in a 6-0 victory against the Oryx Buffaloes. And it was the first perfect game in that league since May 18th, 1994, 28 years, and the 16th in league history. Very impressive.
13 strikeouts in a row in that game. At one point, he threw a total of 105 pitches, most of them around 100.
Unbelievable. Just it's nuts.
So he will be coming to a MLB team near you soon.
Yeah, definitely. Now, we go from strikeouts to prairie dogs. There was a high school game in North Dakota, and they had delay of game several times, and it had nothing to do with the players. It had to do with prairie dogs. They took over the field, and they were running all over the field.
They love baseball too.
They love it. I will give props to whoever was doing the music for the game. They had, at one point, one of the prairie dogs kind of got up on its hind legs, and they had, Pat Benatar's, Hit Me With Your Best Shot was playing. Run Around by Blues Travelers was playing. So that was the Grafton Spoilers and the Rugby Panthers who were playing in that game. Rugby, if you're curious, won the game 4-1. But really, it was all about the Prairie Dogs.
The Prairie Dogs won that game. I don't care
That's right.
What they said. Earlier, you mentioned that people in Colorado are still saying Arenado this, Arenado that. Well, they probably weren't happy to see that their hero, that their savior there that has gone off to St. Louis was named. Why they already named Players of the Week, but he was the National League Player of the Week. Nolan Arenado went 8 for 24 over the weekend, hitting .333, 5 RBIs, had a home run and 2 doubles. And just so you know, in the AL, it was Bregman. And then one other thing that caught my eye was that kid named Hunter Green made his debut, his pitching debut for the Cincinnati Reds. And I didn't know this about him. I knew that there was a lot of hype around him, that he throws hard. But this is a kid who at 7 years old was seen to have potential. And I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but there are MLB sponsored youth academies all over the place. And there's one in Compton here in the LA area. And I've actually been by it. It's just off of the 91 freeway. If you ever happen to be driving along Compton and the 91, it's right there. They got a big sign, MLB, and the Dodgers logos up there. They saw him at 7 years old and that he had talent, and they started helping him and developing him. And now he's in the major leagues. He not only is a great pitcher so far, or the potential to be a great pitcher, he was a scholar as well. So this program really worked. The MLB youth program really worked to help Hunter Green. He's become quite. Dave Winfield posted about meeting him and about how proud he was of him on Facebook just over the weekend. I think on Sunday, he posted something talking about Hunter Green. So if you see the Reds, give this kid a shot. We'll be maybe he'll pitch against the Dodgers. We'll get to see him do that coming up soon. And you know what? Talking about the Dodgers, and because the Reds, this year marks the 50th year since my first in-person Dodger game.
Wow.
And it was versus the Reds. So like I did last year, I would have liked to have gone to the Dodgers Reds game closer to, because we went during the summer, me, Dad, and Grandpa.
Yeah.
But because the Reds come in for one time, and that's coming up for the homestand, or starting today, probably not going to make it this time. But I'm going to try to get out there to Dodger Stadium. I didn't make it last year, so that I could celebrate my 50th anniversary. So anybody from the Dodgers that are listening, maybe hook me up with some good tickets. Maybe kick Mary Hart out of her seat. Let me sit where Larry King used to sit. Something cool.
Something cool. Yeah, that deserves something.
Let me meet
years,
Justin Turner and Trey Turner and Freddie Freeman and.
Yeah, get the VIP treatment at Chavez Ravine. That would be really cool.
I would love to do that. I do want to go sometime in June, because that's when the Sandy Koufax statue is going up. One last thing before we get to Jana's favorite segment. The Blue Jays have played 19 innings of baseball and hit 17 home runs in those 19 innings. Now, remember, that's just from the weekend, not
right. Just the weekend.
17 home runs. So chances are last year's record of like 308, I think it was, set by the Twins, may fall by June at the rate that the Blue Jays are going. The Blue Jays, the offense is incredible. We'll just have to see how their pitching holds up. I know a lot of pitchers were on tight or short leashes because they wanted to avoid injuries. I know that the Angels' Jose Quijada landed himself on the IL, probably not for an oblique, but whatever it is. Let's find out what's happening on the IL right now with Jana's favorite segment, The Wheel of
We got some new entries onto the wheel. We're going to start in Chicago. Andrelton Simmons has some right shoulder soreness. Probably won't be out too long, but still makes a spot on the wheel, along with Wade Miley with left elbow inflammation. And then we head over to the south side, And the White Sox and Lucas Giolito has left side abdominal tightness. So we'll see
by the way,
how.
That's the baddest part of town.
That's right. AJ Pollock, who had an eventful opening day, he has right hamstring tightness. So he's kind of on a day-to-day thing, but still on the wheel. And then you have Blake Snell, who probably will not be making his start with the Padres because of a groin strain. Tommy La Stella with a right Achilles heel strain in San Francisco. Casey Sadler, he pitched for the Dodgers for a little bit. He's back with the Mariners. He's from Washington State, from that area. Sadly, he has a right shoulder injury. He's going to be out for the season. So that just sucks. I mean, it's April and you're already out for the season. Kyle Lewis, also a Mariner, has a meniscus tear, but they don't think he'll be out too long. And speaking of Toronto, Hyun-Jin Ryu, hamstring, not too sure. Will he miss his next start? Will it be in the next 2 starts? Not sure about that. And then we got to throw this in here because we know about this issue. And this is blisters, and John Gray of the Rangers is on the IL with a blister on his pitching hand. So see how long that will take. But yeah, that's this week's edition of the Will of IL.
I wonder how long it is before Rich Hill has a position with Major League Baseball as the blister ambassador or the blister expert.
Right. How to treat it, how to do it. Yeah.
Because blisters are ruining the game, and they contribute to poor pace of play, and they need to be eradicated.
And we also, we know, was it Walker Buehler that had some blister issues, and
Yep.
we got to get Eduardo Perez out to tell us what you can and cannot do with blisters.
Right. We do. We have to invite Eduardo to share what the rule book says about.
It's exactly. He carries it in his back pocket.
He's got it. Something that we saw over the weekend was just, I think this guy kind of gets forgotten a little bit, but just the simple joy some people take in playing baseball. And we head to the Tampa Bay Rays and Brett Phillips, who was seen running the bases after the game with the kids on Kids Run the Bases Day, which I think a lot of teams do that on Sundays after the day game. The kids get to run the bases, and he was out there running them with them, having a good time. And didn't you send me something about something he's been doing, like a foundation or a charity or something?
He has his official, clothing line is called Baseball is Fun.
Right.
And so, I mean, what can be better than that? And then, he's running the bases with the kids, and he's just he just loves baseball. He exudes it. So, he's a SRBB favorite. During
the World Series there a couple of years ago, he was just having fun when they won like one game in walk-off fashion. And because of him, it was, as much as you were like, man, I wanted the Dodgers to win and be out of this, you couldn't help. It was infectious.
Yeah.
So the other day he takes to the mound, and in the process, there's a pop-up. And what do you normally see happen? What do pitchers do? They direct, they point to the sky. They're not even pointing where the ball is. It's going to the right of that. They just point up. Right. I'm not going to get it, but it's up there.
Yeah. So it's either, depending on what side, it's, catcher, third baseman, or first baseman. Nope, not Brett Phillips. He gets it himself.
exactly. Took off over the third baseline towards the third base dugout and does a sliding catch, as you've seen outfielders do many times, or fielders. They get into, and they slide so that they can get the ball and then avoid hitting, the poles or the wall or whatever, or to change the, it's better that way than it is to just run in and flip over the wall or the railing or whatever. Makes the catch, gets up. And at first I didn't realize it was him. I was like, that's what I want to see my pitchers doing. I want them to be athletic and making baseball plays.
Yeah.
Not standing on them all. And then some of the pitchers, they point up in the sky and then don't get out of the way.
Right. Yeah. They cause the problem.
If you're not part of the solution, you're the problem. Well, Brett Phillips, if you know what, if I was going to give a player of the week, I give it to Brett Phillips. Just an all-around good guy. He's happy to be playing, and he plays with this joy that few players seem to play with these days. And when we talk about pressure, there's a guy who had immense pressure and did well under pressure during his baseball career, at least at the beginning of it, and really probably in parts of all of it, in all of his life, and that's Jackie Robinson. And as Jana mentioned, she's going to the Isotopes game to celebrate. Unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately for everybody with Apple TV, the Dodger game will be nationally available if you have Apple TV on Friday, which is Jackie Robinson Day. And this marks the 75th anniversary of Jackie breaking into the major leagues and cracking the color barrier. Now, some things are going to be different. There's more items that you can find on MLB.com or MLB TV. And there'll probably be other things to celebrate throughout the season, the 75th anniversary. And this year, they're going to be doing something a little bit different. We know that every year they wear, all players wear 42 on Jackie Robinson Day. But there's a little bit of a tweak to that this year, isn't there?
Yeah, one that I can always get behind. I love seeing all the players wear 42, but this year, all 42s will be in Dodger blue.
Yeah.
So get ready, Yankees. Pinstripes, Dodger blue.
Padres, Giants.
Ha 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 ha. It's yeah. So, and it's going to look really cool.
That Dodger blue on the orange and black.
Well, just that they have to wear Dodger blue.
Now, I do know that they're putting
it's cool.
42 patches will be on, and those patches will have coloring that are team colors. But they are, all the 42s will be in Dodger blue, like you said. So if you get a chance, check it out. If you get a chance and you're not familiar with Jackie Robinson, take a look at the film 42. I believe that on our website, siblingrivalrybb.com, you can hear a little feature we did about Jackie Robinson in our first season. And
one of our mom's favorites was Jackie Robinson. Although, later, after, Jackie Robinson wasn't playing, and this is a lot later, her favorite, give you a tidbit about our mom, our favorite Dodger, Ron Say. She loved Ron Say.
The Penguin.
Yes. But yeah, check it out, Jackie Robinson Day. In a lot of the communities, like in Miami and Los Angeles, a lot of there will be festivities, things going on for the kids. So it's a fun day and a great, Jackie Robinson was not only a great baseball player, but just a great human being.
Yeah, in Pasadena, which isn't far from me, there's Jackie Robinson Park. Jackie Robinson played baseball at Pasadena College, City College now, but it was Pasadena College then. There are also statues or busts, I believe, of Jackie and his brother over by if you ever watched, it's over by Pasadena City Hall, which many people would find familiar. If you ever watched Parks and Rec, Pasadena City Hall was the Pawnee City Hall. So we will definitely be celebrating tomorrow, Jackie Robinson Day. And I believe that just that spirit and that idea, we should be celebrating what Jackie meant, not only to the sport, but to the world every single day. All right, it's time to put the tarp on this edition of Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Where can they find us on social media?
Instagram, Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB, and on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
Right.
And our website at siblingrivalrybb.com. We got our walk-up songs there. So let us know, we'd love to hear from you. We don't hear from you enough.
Right. We need to hear more. We want to know you're out there, you're breathing, you enjoy things. Are there parts that you don't enjoy? We want to know. We may ignore you, but we really do want to know. No, you might actually, if you let us know, you might very well be drawn out of all those who do contact us or rate, subscribe. Might very well win an SRBB t-shirt, and we'll get a picture of that up on the website soon, and we'll do it up on our in fact, if you look at our Instagram page, I am wearing my SRBB t-shirt. You don't see all of it, but I'm wearing that at Angel Stadium when I went this last weekend. So by all means, hit us up there. One of these days, like I said, we might try TikTok. I've been trying to figure out how we could do the SRBB challenge, but I'm not there yet. And part of me, I can't bring myself to get TikTok. I just feel like
I think that's my biggest. Like, I go to the App Store, and then it pulls me back. Like,
I haven't even gone to the App Store. That's how far behind. Next week we'll wrap up what's happened in a full week. It'll bring the return of Players of the Week for both the Dodgers and the Angels. And who knows what else we'll talk about. We don't know what baseball has in store with us. We know whatever it will be baseball magic. So we'll see you next week right here on your favorite listening platform, Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to swing away.
You're out!